All right, let's do it already, shall we? He's one of our very favorite guests. Nay, he's become one of the world's favorite guests or hosts of podcasting and beyond. He runs it, and he runs it the way he wants to, which is the best way to do things in the world. He runs the Greenlight Podcast Network. He's the great Chris Long, everybody. What's the poop, fella?
What up, dude? It's been a long time relative
Yes.
to us talking, dude. So it's good to see you, and the stash looks strong, and you look healthy.
Do you think so? I get back and forth on people's reaction to it. I think it looks.
I think you look awesome.
Oh, that's nice. I think I look like I could be in Tombstone or something. Don't you think?
One of the cool movies, bro. You'd be a likable character in a movie for real.
Thank you. Hey, first things first, Pat. Both of us on the back. We were texting before Sunday's kickoff. We both were on the Chargers and the money line, and now we're in the winner's circle. Do you think that because it's not just week 3 for me. I think the Chargers win the West. First of all, do you think that proves correct?
I think that the Chiefs still win the West because they'll play better against the field than the Chargers. I do. I think hey, the Ravens, they kind of have a run game that they could option Chris Jones and pound it, and the personnel didn't match up well. I think eventually the Chiefs stabilize. I don't think they're ever going to be like the Chiefs from 2 years ago or anything this year. I do think the Chargers just kind of have their number. I also think, I love the Chargers. I made them my side team last year, which is a concept that works well for me in the NFL. And I think they make the playoffs, but I don't think they win the division because I don't think they beat everybody else enough. And they've been kind of sloppy. They've had those ghosts of Chargers past, like with the illegal formations or the shifts and some of the mistakes they've made, but they've overcome it because of Justin Herbert.
All right, here's the other side of that equation in the AFC West. Who finishes last there? You got 2 undefeated teams named the Broncos and Raiders.
I think the Broncos finish last. I do, which sucks because I really want Teddy to make the playoffs and that sort of thing. I think Teddy's one of those consensus likable dudes, he's on the all likable dude team, and it's justified. I mean, he has been a guy who's flirted with being north of a bridge his entire career, and this is his best opportunity, in my opinion, to say, hey, I'm kind of the guy right now, and if you guys are going to move on from me, who's it going to be with? And if he plays them into not picking at the top of the draft, then he secures his future possibly in Denver. I don't know what they're looking to do long term, but I do think they end up last. I just don't think they have enough to keep up. And the Raiders seem to me like a team that's at least a little bit more mature than they were, and their defense is stout relative to what it's been in the past. So, they're growing up.
Man, I'll tell you, I told David Carr this a week ago, and I say it now. I feel like Derek Carr has been the greatest beneficiary of 21st century technology, being mic'd up. I think last year when we heard him mic'd up, people were like, oh, he does have command of things. This guy knows everything that's going on out there.
Yeah.
I think I like the pieces on offense and defense. I don't know that the Raiders ultimately make it in a loaded AFC.
Oh, yeah.
One team that is looking like they're not going to make it, Chris Long, into the January tournament is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. And I don't want to be one of those people. I know you've been defending, and it's your team, and I get it, and Big Ben's the man, but I'm going to be that guy. I just feel like, when quarterbacks kind of fall off that ledge, there's no warning. So it could be happening before our very eyes. And it's weird because I was talking about this on my pod yesterday. There's Atlanta and there's Pittsburgh, and those are 2 different teams that have obviously been on a different scale of longevity, but what a rich history he's had there. And also Matt Ryan in Atlanta, and they're both kind of on these really messed up farewell tours, we know, and I hate that for Ben because I did pick them last year to win the Super Bowl, and it looked good for a while, but they just cratered. And I really hate it for Matt Ryan. It's got to be weird, to see it all in the rearview mirror and just know that hey, we're playing this thing out. I don't know what they do in the future. What do you think?
Well, I think Matt Ryan erred when he decided to wear number 2. I don't understand why quarterbacks do that. You could go 1 up to 19 and you choose 2. He decided on it because his favorite player growing up was Tim Couch, which is another error.
Questionable
judgment. Yeah. And then he wears that uniform. I don't think he has a choice in that matter, but he really, as a leader of the team, should have jumped in and said, to Arthur Blank. This can't be it.
Can't happen, dude. We look like
Not
carnival
good.
guys. We look
Right.
like jesters, court jesters. You know what really looked awful this weekend? And I don't know if you're parking your car, as you would say, in the same garage as me, is Wisconsin's uniforms were an abomination.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I wanted you to pass along a message to your pal Macon, with whom you host the Green Light Pod.
Yeah.
He's big on like, I don't care if pants sometimes shouldn't have a stripe on them. All right, I'll sign off on that generally. Penn State shouldn't wear striped pants. But if you didn't like those stripes on the Notre Dame pants this week, you're just never going to like
We disagree, dude. I like striped pants. I did not like those stripes, dude.
Really?
I think Notre Dame is like, you get a $100,000 car and you put stupid looking rims on it. Like Notre Dame, that's what they did with their pant stripe, in my opinion. And then also what was worse was the shoulder stripe. Maybe you could overcome those pant stripes, but the shoulder stripe to me was like, you know how Carolina has those gorgeous like Julius Peppers uniforms they wore when they torched Virginia a couple weeks ago? Well, they also have that stupid little Carolina thing on the shoulder. I hate that, dude.
I liked, by the way, I generally with college football, I like the traditional get-ups, and I did like it, despite liking the pant stripe on the usually glorious Notre Dame get-ups. I got to say, for a newfangled look, UVA, the Hoos, have some of the very best going.
Oh, yeah, dude. Hey, it's not a secret anymore. People are saying that they have the best uniforms in the ACC.
Yeah, the ACC, home of schools that put lots of guys into the NFL to go on to be stars, and yet all struggle to go 7-6 in college football.
It's tough, man. I don't, and the worst thing about the ACC right now is like Clemson's like in a major welcome back situation. You know that they're Clemson again, so we don't even have like that one friend that'll beat you up anymore.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. See, this is so bottom line, ACC is not sending anybody to the postseason tournament there. Back to the Steelers quickly. The only thing I'll say is I've already been through it a million times over. No one wants to hear me talk about it again. But I'll just say this. Name for me, for real, what quarterback would perform adequately. I'm not talking about.
Yeah, no.
Is there, I mean, for real. That and it's the same thing with Najee Harris. That's the revealing detail as well. I mean, he's a nice, fresh,
this is gonna hurt.
Hanger of a runner. I mean, who would do well behind that?
This is gonna hurt. Lamar Jackson would do well.
Do you really think so? Behind a bum line?
Yeah, you can be more. He like it's kind of what he's dealing with right now. And not that he did well on Sunday, but he's still changing games. And they could have put up 35 on those cats if Hollywood Brown didn't look like he got attacked by the football. You know what I mean? But like. I do think that when you have problems up front, you can do a lot with your run game if you have somebody who's mobile. College coaches get around it all the time with quarterback run game and that sort of thing. You can put people in binds that you can't do if you just line up and try to play power football, or even if you tried to run Pittsburgh's scheme where you've got a bunch of like the old Bruce Arians stuff. You can't do that anymore. Like. You can't do any of that stuff. Like when your offensive line's bad, you really need to work around it. And I think like to Ben could maybe play longer, but not here. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying he's like, I don't want to disrespect the guy who's been very good for a very long time and a better player than I ever was, but there is an end for everybody. And I just think it can be accelerated if the people around you don't accentuate your strengths. And there aren't many guys who can't move anymore playing the game. So I think it's a tough situation, but you got to live with it for a year here, I guess, or maybe more. I don't know.
I maybe deluded myself because I've talked about the quarterback cliff forever. It is a severe drop. One day you're good, the next day you stink. I just thought and I still think that he makes he throws some nice passes on sideline routes. Everything makes me think maybe he's not done. But
yeah, some touchy stuff.
O-line,
but some touchy stuff. He still can put some touch on some balls, but what made him great for so long, like what scared you about Big Ben, and I never got to play him much. I was really bummed because we got to play Charlie Batch instead of Big Ben. Not that I don't love Charlie, but great guy. But like Big Ben, we wanted to play Big Ben because what scared you was also good for rushers. Was like it's scary on the back end that he's going to extend and you might fall off him, but if you can get up, you can get him again. Like that's how long he's gonna create back there. And now he doesn't do that anymore. So it's like a weird thing. It's like the thing that made him great, He can't do that anymore, and the offensive line is really tough, you know?
It is like, yeah, right. It's like Superman when Kryptonite's around. What does he do to when his power is taken? I completely agree with you. The thing that puts him in the Hall of Fame above anything else, his
That's
unique
it.
gift versus anybody else, was just shoving people your size off of him to make a play downfield. He has no ability to do that. And in fact, he's making more mistakes trying to do that. He's not it's as though he doesn't recognize he's not that guy anymore sometimes.
Yeah.
Half the time he's trying to do that, and the other times he's like, the hell, I can't keep taking this beating. Get the ball out of my hand, whatever I have to do. You know?
Yeah. I think we're both going through a lot because I've defended Carson and it's not working out in Indy. And, you know, I said this on my pod yesterday. It's like, you know, I'm fine with being wrong. Shit. I mean, I'm wrong all the time. I'm not one of these guys. But, you know, Carson, he has so much ability, but there's a processing thing going on that I can't really put my finger on. You know what I mean? And Frank Reich and him were so good in the red zone when we were in Philly. It's hard to understand what's happened since the injury. And so, you know, I defended Carson. I'm looking at that situation. I might have to pack up my tent and say, hey, because I don't think that team's really in a great position right now, to say the least. And
I know Titans have such an easy ride. It feels like, you know, it's not that they're world beaters, but they're certainly going to win that bum division. So
yeah, I know. Yeah,
context matters.
It's a good division to be in right now.
I do, for the record. I don't like being wrong, but I'm proud to. It's nice to hear that you're a part of the Jerry Orbach Club. When you're wrong, you say you're wrong, and I respect you for that.
Well, the thing I've been right about with Carson is I don't think he's a bad person. You know, people want to make him out to be this anti-vaccine stuff. We disagree, bro. Hey, you don't sound real intelligent to me making an argument that it's a personal decision. But other than that, like, Carson, to me, has always been a good dude, a solid person, and I just thought there was a lot of snipes being taken at him because he's a quarterback, you know.
Let's talk about a couple other quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers is growing his hair long.
Yeah.
And he says it's because he had an idea for a Halloween costume. Now, he said that in 2020. Yeah. So it couldn't be based on, like, people were saying maybe it's Tiger King, which would make sense because that was early 2020, right? When COVID.
Right.
So I could see him and Shailene watching that show and being like, Tiger King, that's going to be my costume. But now in autumn of 2021, the ship has sailed on that. I think Aaron Rodgers is more clever than that. Do you have a guess at who he's doing?
I don't know. I'm trying to think who it might be. I mean,
I think I figured it out.
Who is it?
I watched this movie for I think it was the 89th time that I've watched it. Dazed and Confused. Yeah. I think he's going to be Randall Pink Floyd. I think that's who it makes sense because he's a quarterback. And I think he thinks of himself as an anti-hero. Yeah. And I think instead of candy, he's just going to ball up little pieces of paper and say, take that, trick or treat. I'll never play for you. And he'll throw pieces of paper into little kids' trick or treat bags.
I think it'd be great, but the kids are going to be confused.
Maybe. Better than throwing joints in there, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. But with hair like that, I wouldn't be surprised if we find something out after football.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But Shailene, then, if my guess is correct, then she'll be Mitch in the Little League uniform.
I'm forgetting Mitch, but Dazed and Confused.
Mitch is the main guy. Mitch is the main kid. He's the one who's.
Okay. All right.
No. That's McConaughey, the main kid, like the little kid who gets paddled and all that. Anyway, it's the best.
Oh no, I know it's not McConaughey. That's the only line I remember from the whole damn movie, dude. I gotta go back and watch it again.
Oh, it's a gem. It's a gem. Hey, who you met, because we cover your playing career extensively. And was there a guy who you used to play with that was the most fun to tackle, that you didn't like him and you're like, I'll see you later on, and you got him, or in the just for lot. Fun, or because it was fun and you had a cute game with him, and then you like had a laugh after the game, but in the moment it was like, I got you, you son of a bitch.
Man, that's a good question, man. Eli was fun to sack because, you know, like I didn't know him well, but he just was kind of like a soft landing spot a little bit. Like he was a guy who was, for a long time, was like playing through an era where guys were getting less stationary. So I really enjoyed playing Eli because you were like, oh, there's still a few of you guys who are kind of like lawn deer back here.
He
I don't
seems
know.
like he'd be. You said soft landing. You're like, I think he'd be real bony. Like it would hurt to like.
No,
all sharp edges.
he's an accommodating person to sack, dude.
Oh,
Very
that's nice.
accommodating. I'm trying to think. I sacked Russell Wilson a ton, and we knew each other from. I mean, I probably sacked Russell Wilson 9 times, I think, in my career. If I had to guess, I think it's 8 or 9. And if I went to Seattle, I knew that we were going to get 2 or 3 because he just liked to extend plays, and their offensive line was not. They were like they were a bludgeoning tool, not a.
It's funny.
Pass blocking.
It's funny you say Lamar Jackson because then it makes me think because I look through the draft and everybody has all these fancy ideas about what Pittsburgh should have done to replace Roethlisberger over the last 2 drafts. But practically, I don't think they would have taken Jordan Love if they would have held on to the Minka, the pick they traded to get Minka. They could have taken Jalen Hurts in round 2.
But I'm not even talking about that because Jalen Hurts to me is a great runner, but he's a pocket passer who then likes to run. And Lamar's gift is so rare that
it really is.
It really is unique. You have to use it. You have to use it. Like we have this stupid conversation about could he throw better? Are we being overly critical? Like this, that, and third. Like there is some validity to having the conversation, but the conversation should be over like it's not a bad thing that he's amazing at that. And actually, he's done a really good job of not deciding I want to use this God-given gift that nobody else has every play. And I think that when you have a bad team from like a personnel standpoint, you do something unorthodox. You gain an advantage every week. As you're preparing, if I got to play an option team, somebody that gives me a headache in the red zone, somebody that like I have to worry about one more responsibility, I'm slower. So not only is he the fastest player on the field, but I'm slower than I usually am because the schematics of what they do are so like different than the team we played last week. So I think you can gain an advantage when you have bad personnel. Like the Patriots did that last year. Like, okay, Cam wasn't healthy, or maybe he's not Cam anymore. But he couldn't throw the ball like the way he used to. And like I'm looking at what Bill did with that quarterback run game, and it was a kind of a nightmare to play for a lot of teams. And you're making a lot out of a little, and I'm talking about on the outside too. So I think if I look at Pittsburgh, I might be giving Cam Newton a call.
I mean, I pushed back and made fun. I didn't make fun, but I was, what are you talking about, Stephen A? They have 4 quarterbacks.
I saw what you said.
Well, because but I wasn't cracking wise about Cam. I think if he had one great season, one more great season, if you could find
you're thinking he's a Hall of Famer,
he gets to the Hall. But it just doesn't make sense.
Well, I don't think Stephen A said
Cam Newton to back up Ben Roethlisberger, or to put him in and say, "Hey, Seven, take a seat." And like that's just not going to happen. So it's ridiculous.
No, I just think like you think about, and I don't think Stephen A was saying it with the same rationale I am. Like I'm just saying that it's a pain in the ass if you have no other option. Like your options as the Pittsburgh Steelers right now are to continue to ride this out and just be in this kind of intermediate draft position place, like where you might go 10-7 or you might go 9-8. And then you're like, what the hell are we doing? We played ourselves out of resetting, and we're wasting, guys like TJ Watt, like that. Maybe
that's why you couldn't roll. By the way, that's retroactive. That like, people are doing that 2020. In fact, I was saying it all summer. You could not say to Cam Hayward in year 11 and TJ Watt and the rest of those guys, hey, we're going to roll with Mason Rudolph this year. Like, I mean, what the hell are you talking? We can't do that.
No, you're right. You're right. But you can do something else. I mean, and they haven't really, like, Haskins is developmental. Rudolph is a true backup. And, like, Haskins got a way to go, right? He's got a ways to go. Like, it would be nice if one of their quarterbacks was, like, a guy that you could get something unique out of.
Josh Dobbs, that you could throw him out there and pay some packages and at least keep him – at least not knowing what's going to happen on every single offensive snap when you're playing them. Enough about the Steelers.
But Cam still made it concrete. Josh Dobbs is not. No offense to Josh Dobbs, but like,
yeah, that's true.
Cam can still run people over. I think he could play tight end for another 5 years. You know what I mean? So,
all right, if it happens, then I will say I'm wrong, like Jerry Orbach.
I'm probably wrong.
You mentioned Belichick.
Yep.
Let's talk about that. Brady v. Belichick. Do both of these guys care desperately about the outcome of this game? Does just one care desperately about it, or are they both like it's just another game on the schedule, which I refuse to believe would be the case?
I think Bill's probably like, oh, not this shit again. Like at this point, he already won his Super Bowl. Now he's got to come up here and break the passing record in the first quarter, probably.
And they have to stop the game too, right?
Yeah,
that's how they did it with Drew
game.
Brees, so they have to stop the game.
And it's going to go to if Gronk's healthy, it's going to go to Gronk for 69 yards, like, and the whole thing. So yeah, like that's going to be a big moment. And I think Bill, at the end of the day, and Tom, like we always talk about this last year, who wins, who's the chicken or the egg? Like it's the ultimate team sport, not to be cliche. They were married for 20 years. Other couples in the NFL, I'm talking about coaches and quarterbacks, don't last more than 5 a lot of the time. So instead of asking like, why didn't they get along, or like, what's the truth about, do they hate each other?
Most guys only last 5 minutes or less, but these two are like a tantric.
Yeah, they're having
they lasted a long time.
They had a sting situation.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think though? Because listen, Brady's super classy. Everybody who ever played with Brady, I mean, maybe you could correct me, and if you want to name names, I'd love it.
He's classy.
Did you really like him?
I really.
It seems like everybody likes him.
If I didn't like Brady, Dave, you know what I would do? I'd be like, oh, he's cool. He's cool. He's a good guy. I'd probably like throw your set. Like Brady he's a legit.
Your voice would go up a couple octaves. Oh,
yeah, he's a cool guy.
He's all right. He's really nice. Very good guy. Very nice.
Tell me something you like about him. Like when I asked my kid to tell me something about school, and he's like, it was good. Like
what they always say, right? That's all they say. It was good. What would you do? I don't remember. The answer I get.
Brady is a good guy, dude.
But
well, let me say this. Let me break it down in football terms, because that's what people care about. He's a great teammate. He worked his ass off. He was, as a football player, everything that he's cracked up to be, and always treated me really well.
But let me just say this. I'm not going to say it's passive aggressive, but he's very controlled with everything he does. Obviously he doesn't eat the bread and all that kind of jazz. It then makes me think there would not be people in his camp, including his own father and Alex Guerrero, who would take shots at Belichick if they didn't first say like, hey, Tom, I'm going to tell the truth here, or I'm going to say what I think is the truth of that relationship, right?
Yeah,
Brady must have said he had to cut them loose. They wouldn't just go shooting their mouth off about Belichick without him saying it's okay to do.
Well, I think what happens is when people leak stuff in the Brady camp, they just trot him out there and he drills them with a football. Like
that's a punishment.
When Alex Guerrero says too much, he just brings him out back and he's just like,
street justice.
Hey, run an angle route and then stand there for like 15 seconds, and he just pelts him. I think honestly, I'm not a leak guy, so I don't know how this shit works, man. When I got in the media, and actually towards the end of my career, when I played in Philly, I realized that there were leaks. Like when I played in St. Louis, nobody cared, so nobody was leaking anything, and there were nobody would listen. So when I got to Philly, and there were like stories that came out, I was like, damn, people really like strategically do XYZ. One time there was a situation in Philly, which obviously I'm going to tease you here, and I could have made somebody look really bad and it would have served me. And I was just like, nah, dude, I don't want to be a leak. I'm actually going to not let you write this article about the information that you came upon. I don't want to be a part of this shit. And so I don't understand how all this stuff works. I don't know how TB12's leaks work. I think he's a good guy.
This has something to do with Clyde Simmons?
No,
he might have been before your time.
Clyde was one of my D-line coaches.
Is that right?
In St. Louis. He was an absolute legend.
Small world that I would stumble on that. Last football question,
Yeah.
and then I have to turn quickly to hockey for a little game show with you.
Yeah.
And then hopefully some My Morning Jacket. But quickly, I refuse at this point to get duped by anything I saw in week 3. The Rams look good. Sean McVay, boy genius still. Stafford, perhaps the missing piece to go along with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey and so on and so forth. if those two teams were to play again in the same place, SoFi Stadium, now the Rams have the upper hand, although really brutal division. So it's not unreasonable to think the Bucs will still end up getting the number 1 seed. But let's say even the game is in SoFi with the trip to the Super Bowl on the line. Would you ever bet against Brady this year? I refuse to ever do it again.
I bet on him last year. That was one of my big wins of the playoffs. Like, I just saw it that way. I mean, especially with the protection issues, but I was betting more on, like, I was betting on Brady, but I was betting on the defense. I was betting on that team. Like, you know what I mean? And I think it's really just.
Yeah, but to interrupt you?
Yeah.
I'll say the thing that he doesn't get credit for is he's a genius in the big picture sense. It's like people keep treating him as though he's Waldo. Like, wow, he just shows up everywhere in good spots and everything. Is it a fluke, or is part of his football genius assessing Tampa Bay? This is a football organization that on purpose has a pirate ship inside the stadium, and it shoots cannons off, and they have terrible uniforms and all of it. And he went there because he knew that was the place to go to win the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, but you and I could have told him that. It was LA and them, and really Tampa was probably the best choice. So, like, I think he's a very good handicapper. He probably knows football better than almost anybody I've ever met, I would assume. I spent a year in New England. I felt like I got exponentially smarter. He probably knows a whole hell of a lot, and he knows that, like, I think he was just very intentional with his decision. And I think he probably thought about it for more than just like a year. I mean, like, what's the next thing look like? Come on. We all think about that stuff. Like, he had to think in his head, like, if there was another situation, what would it look like? And I think it looked exactly like Tampa. And, he got to play a little GM a little bit with Gronk, because you could tell Bruce wasn't like really all in on Gronk early in the season. Guess what? Brady was right. He turned out to be one of the most important guys. I think that one of the things he deserves a lot of credit for is their rebound out of the gate this year. Now, they got their ass kicked yesterday. That happens. It happened to them last year to the Saints twice, and they still won the Super Bowl. In fact, they went through the Saints. So this is week 3. But I think what he deserves a lot of credit for, this team came out of the gate really focused. And that's the hardest thing to do as a Super Bowl team. I had to do it once, with the Eagles, and it was just like a shit show. And when the Patriots, they were constantly back in big games after a Super Bowl year, even though for almost a decade without Malcolm Butler, they probably don't win a Super Bowl. That's a skill, like, as a team, and that leadership comes from somewhere. And I think this year's rebound is as much of a contest, maybe, when you look at Brady or Belichick, as the winning the Super Bowl. It's like, all right, well, what made the Patriots great wasn't just winning one, it was winning multiple. So, like, can Brady live up to that lofty expectation of, hey, we defend it by being really good and making a deep run?
All right. All that said, Patriots getting 6.5 at home. Embarrassing.
Who? What?
That's right. Plus 6.5.
Wow.
How say you?
I didn't see this to believe it. Hold on a second. Let me see if I have it on my app, what the line is here. I'm hammering the Pats.
Are you really?
No, I'm not. I'm betting on Brady. On Brady.
There you go.
He's so mad, dude. Like, think about it. And Bill's mad too because of the way they lost to New England. Think about that. I mean, you play Sean Payton. That's a big thing. Like, 2 of the greatest coaches of all time, in my opinion, and like an offensive genius, a defensive genius, and they're both like stripped bare of all their quarterbacks and all this shit. And this is the showdown. Like, they're like 2 old badasses that are like limping over to fight each other. That was kind of these 2 rosters, and Sean and New Orleans got the best of them, and they ran the ball, and like, that's got to piss Bill off. So they're going to be mad. He knows Tom, but I do think Tom and Tampa pull away a little bit late because Tom's mad too. I mean, you think Ryan Jensen's getting cussed out this week? He's going to just fine. Whenever he's cussing out Ryan Jensen, they're going to play well the next week.
Also, by the way, I don't know if he'll be off the COVID list, but there's one Antonio Brown who had his time in Foxborough too. So that'll be another. So Gronk and Antonio Brown. and
Yep.
Brady all teaming up to go up to Foxborough and vanquish the Pats.
Yeah, and they got to get the run game going. That's the last thing about it. I mean, that's just something that, and I know it's been a thorn in Tom's side, not just the run game, but also like a dependable back out of the backfield to catch the ball.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll see with Gio Bernard. But all right, now it's time. You're a hockey guy. You love your hockey. You love the St. Louis Blues. You love their sweaters, at least.
I love their sweaters.
You love the hockey sweater. So do I. Yeah. Let's play a game. There are so many good names in hockey. It's whether you like the sport or not, it's unquestionably the best collection of names in any sport.
I'm going to find the best Blues name, too, while you're at it.
Okay. And I'll tell you, often the names are so good in hockey that they could be confused with prescription drugs that you see advertised on TV. So let's play NHL player or prescription drug. First one up, Eddie Spaghetti. You can chime in here too. Sunosi.
That's a drug.
It's a drug. Eddie Spaghetti. How say you? Is that a hockey player? Sunosi coming down the right side. One timer. It's in the goal. Who is it, Eddie Spaghetti? Is it
I feel like I saw. I feel like I literally just watched a commercial on TV with that. So I want to go with Chris. I think it's a drug.
Sunosi is a prescription drug that treats daytime fatigue. If you feel tired during the day, you should take this. There are other drugs I understand out there for.
If you feel a little tired during the day, you can take a Sunosi. The side effects are sudden death. I don't know, vomiting, diarrhea. Like what else?
Are we just like with the prescription drug business that's going out? I feel like we're just getting closer and closer to like cocaine. Like
cocaine, take it.
That you won't even get tired at night.
You'll eat your own face.
You'll just be up the whole day and all night, But in the meantime, you Gateway Sunosi. Next, Zahorna.
That's a hockey player.
Eddie Spaghetti, how say you?
Player.
Radim Zahorna is a center iceman for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and potentially a good one at that. 6'7", handsy too.
Ooh.
Next up, Khudobin, NHL player or prescription drug?
Oh, that's a player.
Eddie Spaghetti?
Yeah, this is no fun. We're in lockstep. It's a player.
Well, what the hell? What are your Wizards
We're just really
of this
good
game?
at this.
It's a Dallas Stars goaltender.
We'd rather be right. We'd rather be right than argue.
Pick Ray.
No, we don't want to argue.
Pick Ray.
Player
or
You're trying to make it 3 in a row players, I think. It's a player.
Spaghetti?
Pick Ray. Can we get a spelling on that?
No, you can't.
I'll change it up. I'm not sure about this one, so I'm going to go drug.
Pick Ray is a prescription drug that helps with menopause.
Oh.
You're menopausal.
Something just fell off the wall here at the Green Light Studios.
Oh, no.
Suddenly. There's like a ghost up here, or the tape doesn't work.
Somebody took too much Sunosi. Bouncing off the walls. And let's bring it on home. Bavencio. Is that a player or is that a drug?
Oh, man. If you're naming your drug Bavencio, there were so many other made-up words. Sky Rizzy,
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever...
Sky Rizzy's a weird one.
Dude. Sounds like I don't know.
Sky Rizzy versus Rupa Hintz Rupa Hintz is a center iceman for the Dallas Stars. But one, even though I know it, I still don't know it.
I'm gonna go
like
hockey
Rupa
player.
Hintz. I need the Rupa Hintz. I got a bad case. My knees have been killing me. I need Rupa Hintz.
Get me the Rupa Hintz.
You're going player, Spaghetti.
I'll go drug for that one.
You're correct. It treats a serious ailment. So
Spaghetti kicked my ass.
Last thing, Chris Long, since Spaghetti's up here, you're a big music guy. So too is Eddie Spaghetti. You and me have had some great conversations about music. In fact, do you have any music tips you want to throw out to the audience while we have you?
Yeah, Del McCoury, bluegrass legend. I am like miles down that rabbit hole right now. Yeah, that's what I got for you right now.
Excellent. Yeah. And we got you on, I guess it was about a year ago, Radiohead. I have elevated that record to OK Computer. to top 10
I'm
in
in
my all-time list.
I'm all the way in. Not for maybe that being a top 10 record, but I'm in on Radiohead.
Good for you. Spaghetti, your thoughts? You were down at what's it called? Ohana Fest in Laguna
Correct.
Beach.
Yes, Orange
I
County.
got some FOMO from that, dude.
Yeah.
And
Dana
you saw
Point.
Pearl Jam, and you saw My Morning Jacket. First of all, Chris Long, 21 times seeing Pearl Jam. Too much, just right, or got to double it up before you're 40, Spaghetti?
They're an amazing group. So, I mean, you should always, if you get an opportunity to see them, you should. And I can't throw stones because I've seen Jacket a lot. I don't know how many times I've seen Jacket.
That's what I was going to ask you. That's your number one. That's the band you've seen most?
Yeah, Jacket probably. Yeah, I'm definitely in the high teens, maybe at this point, maybe the 20s. I don't know, but
I said
Spaghetti,
we were talking about
shade,
this,
dude.
No, I know, I just kid Spaghetti, but I saw the Dead 4 or 5 times, and I thought like that has to be it. And then I was thinking about it. I've seen Fishbone that many times too. They're not the same gang
Fishbone.
that they were 25 years ago. I'm an old man, but
you tried to turn me on to that.
At their height, live versus their records have no relationship to their live performance. They're great.
Eddie has a Fishbone on his hat.
Yeah,
my see here now.
How about
I
that?
Go coast to coast for Pearl Jam. So,
but then Spaghetti, here's the question. You love Pearl Jam. You travel anytime you get an opportunity to go see Eddie, and you love them so much you call them all by their first names, so as though they're your pals. Eddie was great. Broke out the acoustic.
Yeah.
And yet you decreed late Friday night My Morning Jacket the greatest live band you've ever seen. Explain.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, there's no argument to that. I've seen Pearl Jam 21 times. It's my favorite band ever. I don't think you could argue that. I think they're just the test I gave barometer was going with my girlfriend who listens to god awful music, but she's a trooper. She comes along with me to all these things.
Sounds like a trooper going to listen to good music for once.
Well, so she learns, and then like for 3-day festival, she learns. She's like, I'm wrong about music. This is actually good stuff. But seeing her reaction,
but to be fair, she was loaded up on Sunosi. So
she was
got to be loaded up on a little Sky Rizzy when you go see.
She was smoking it. She was smoking Sunosi, and the doctors do not recommend that, but she did it anyway.
Sky Rizzy.
But her reaction to them live, and we were on the rail for Friday to see My Morning Jacket play, and they were absolutely incredible. And they're basically all songs I've seen before because I have seen them a number of times, but it doesn't really matter. They're just they're like robotic in their ability to just feed off each other. They don't ever mess up. The jams are insane, every single song. And it's a different experience. Pearl Jam, you look for different things when you go to see them. Pearl Jam is more about the crowd, Ed's stories, a lot of the chit chat back and forth. They may play, Jagged probably plays a longer set with shorter songs, less amount of songs because their songs are longer. Pearl Jam probably will power through in a regular show with like 30 plus songs. So it's a different thing what you're looking for, but they're still my favorite Pearl Jam. But I think in terms of the live, what I've seen live, it's like nothing can compare to them.
It's a living organism. It's a living organism. Those concerts, man. And plus, they're rangy. Like they played like Marvin Gaye the other time when I saw him in Flushing a couple weeks ago, and they crushed that. They played Erykah Badu, they played
George
Michael. They do it all. Like they did some Christopher Cross one time when I was at a show. And they do that all without like sacrificing. There's some cover bands. They're not a cover band, bro. Like they just cover everybody's shit, like at such a high level. And they're also extremely. I don't know what would the word be. They got great endurance, man. Like these guys can play and like really rock. Like I don't know how they do what they do. Pat's back there just wailing on the drums for 3 hours up at Red Rocks at altitude. They're doing back-to-back sets. Like when people ask me the best concert I ever saw, I tell them it's Jacket at Red Rocks, and I don't know which one either. I've seen them there a couple times, and when I say it, I feel like, oh shit, I'm giving a chalky answer. Even though it's such a hipstery answer, I guess, to me it's chalky because I'm that confident about saying that My Morning Jacket puts on the best live show of anybody you can go see.
Look at this. Spaghetti and Chris Long parking their cars in the same music garage, staying in the car, not getting out yet. Wait. Wait for until the album's over, then we'll go inside. I love it.
I did see Chris Christopherson. That was one of the most emotional concerts I've ever been to.
But, I know you're big on the Highwayman, and yeah, hard to argue with that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Ed calls him Ed. Well, Ed Stories.
Oh, Ed was crushing it. Hey, did they play Mercy this time around at Ohana?
No, there was no collab, or I was hoping for something or a different cover. They played a lot of like the greatest hits, and then they added in they ended with Wasted, which is a new song, and then they also regular schedule programming from the new self-titled album too, which is phenomenal. Feel You.
The back half of that thing, the back half of regular schedule program. But I really like the new song. It's like In Color or something, or Colors. That is going to be the jam on the new album, bro. It's going to be the jam.
It's insane too. I have to give them credit for playing so long in Santa Barbara the night before, driving down the coast and then filling in, doing a longer set, because the unfortunate news about the mom of the Kings of Leon unfortunately passed away. So they had a cover for the set. But it ended up being a special night. Honestly, the best night of music of my life, because you had MMJ play for 2 hours, and then after that, the shirt I'm wearing now, the Earthlings, it's a new band with Eddie Vedder, Glenn Hansard, Andrew Watt, Chad Smith and the Chili Peppers, Josh Klinghoffer, Pino Palladino, who used to fill in for John Entwistle from The Who. And they played after. It was an impromptu thing. Covered Molly's Chambers by Kings of Leon. They covered I'm One by The Who. They covered Purple Rain. They played some Pearl Jam stuff. Porch, Long Road. I mean, it was literally. And I saw the Black Pumas before My Morning Jacket, who were incredible as well. And I was on the rail. The pictures I have are insane. I can send them to you guys if you care enough. I mean, it was just the best.
So here's how you know. Here's how you know they're so great. I know for a fact that your boys stuck around to watch, or at least Jeff stuck around.
The whole band was taking filming.
Dude.
Yeah,
they get it, dude.
Yeah, the whole band was filming.
They get it. So,
was it Sailing, by the way, with Christopher Cross that they?
No,
played?
Ride Like the Wind.
Oh, okay.
I love that song.
That makes a little more sense. All right, listen. It's more than enough. Chris Long, one of the greats, as you can tell from this rangy conversation. Oh, last thing, because you did it. I think I've mentioned this to you before, and I have to get back to pushing this, because I love football and I love life, but I would like to leave them both a little bit better off than I found them. He's still listening.
Okay.
Unless Ed is doing something right now that he has to pay attention to. Ed. Here's the thing. We have two things called a safety in football. One is a position, which makes sense. He's a safety. He's the last line of defense. He's your safety. That's what you. But why do we have, when a giant person falls on you in your own end zone, that's decidedly unsafe? Shouldn't we rename the name of that 2-point play?
Yeah, a boo-boo. Like, made a boo-boo. I threw a screen pass into the end zone up 14-0 on the 1 yard line. That was just a little boo-boo. A
boo-two, because it's two, because it counts
for
2 points. Now, what's the best is a boo-two also goes with the exotic signal that the referee makes. It's the best. I love it. I love when you get to see that
dance.
We got to see a game-ending safety too.
A safety feels as good as a home run. Feels better even.
I would think so, right? Because it's a little bit rare. Listen, we'll figure out that stuff the next time we get a chance to keep it. In the meantime, listen to Chris Long, listen to Macon, make sure you're listening to Green Light. Listen, the thing that's great about what you're doing, I don't have to tell you, is it ain't just X's and O's. It's not just football. You do music. You talk to people like John Hamm. It's just gangbusters. If you aren't already subscribed, it really is a maverick in the podcasting space at a time when there are about 4 people left on the planet Earth who aren't doing a podcast. Your stuff legitimately breaks through. Ken Burns. I mean, awesome stuff.
Oh, Ken was awesome, dude. I'm so lucky to be able to get a guy like that. So
no, man, you really are you're as breezy and strong a conversationalist, because you can have all those conversations with all those different kind of people. And
you and me, we can go just about anywhere. So I appreciate that coming from one of the good ones, dude. So thank you.
The great Chris Long, everybody. Appreciate you, Pally. Good luck to, I guess, to your Eagles, we'll call them. And go listen to some Ed there.
Go Birds.
Stay off the pick rate. Don't go heavy on the pick rate. Whatever.
I'm not.
If you need, just give me. If you need help, man. Like,
I'm
no shame.
I'm going to over tonight. Over.